Welcome to the fifth video lecture of Electronic Devices Unit 2, Material and Carrier Concentration. In the previous video, we have seen that how we can calculate the carrier concentration for an intrinsic material and how we can analyze it for an extrinsic semiconductor, and we have also discussed about degenerate and non-degenerate semiconductors. So coming to the next topic of charge neutrality in compensated semiconductor. So first point is that what is a compensated semiconductor? A compensated semiconductor is one that contains both donor and acceptor impurity atoms in the same region. An N-type compensated semiconductor occurs when the N value of Nd is greater than the value of Na, and a P-type compensated semiconductor occurs when Na value is greater than Nd. If these two values are equal, then we have a completely compensated semiconductor. So charge neutrality condition says that the value of sum of N naught and Na negative is equal to P naught plus Nd positive, and N naught plus Na minus Pa is equal to P naught plus Nd minus small nd. In the diagram we can see this N naught is the total electron concentration, and P naught that we have already seen in our previous discussions, that N naught and P naught we have used for representing the concentration of holes and electrons at equilibrium. So these are representing unionized donor ions, and Nd plus is equal to Nd minus small nd are the ionized donors. Similarly, ionized acceptors are represented as Na minus is equal to Na minus Pa. Ec is the conduction band energy level and Ev is the valence band energy level. Here Ea and Ed, that is acceptor level and donor level, and EFi is the Fermi energy level. These are the thermal electrons and these are the donor electron that are coming from donor energy level to the conduction band, and these are the acceptor one, those are coming from valence band to the acceptor level. So this is the concept of charge neutrality for any compensated semiconductor. Equilibrium N naught value in compensated semiconductor, the value of N naught that we have calculated for an intrinsic semiconductor and an extrinsic semiconductor. Now we will see that how we can calculate it for a compensated semiconductor. So under complete ionization, Nd and Pa are both 0. So these values are both 0. So we can write it as N naught is equal to Na is equal to P naught plus Nd, because N naught is equal to P naught is equal to Ni square that we have seen for an intrinsic semiconductor. So we can write it as N naught plus Na is equal to Ni square upon N naught plus Nd. This Ni square upon N naught are placed at the value of P naught, simplifying it from this expression. So simplifying this, we get N naught square minus Nd minus Na multiplied by N naught minus Ni square is equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation, so we will have two solutions of this equation. So we will have the positive value of the electron concentration. So N naught we have Nd minus Na by 2 plus under root Nd minus Na by 2 whole square plus Ni square. So this value of N naught represents the equilibrium concentration of carrier for a compensated semiconductor. So this is a simple direct formula based example that we can use to practice for understanding the previous expression. Consider a silicon at 300 degree Kelvin having the value of Ni as 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 10 per centimeter cube and Nd is equal to 10 raised to the power 16 per centimeter cube and Na is equal to 0. So majority carriers that we can calculate using the previous formula. So putting all the values, N naught is equal to 10 raised to the power 16, that is Nd by 2 plus under root 10 raised to the power 16 by 2 whole square. Because here Na value is 0, so Nd minus Na will remain same as Nd plus 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 10 square. So simplifying this, solving this, we get the value as 10 raised to the power 16 per centimeter cube. Similarly, the minority carrier P naught we can find as Ni square upon N naught is equal to 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 10 whole square divided by 10 raised to the power 16 is equal to 2.25 into 10 raised to the power 4 per centimeter cube. So as we added donor impurity atom, there is a redistribution of electrons among available energy states. A few of the donor electrons will fall into the empty states in the valence band to annihilate some of the intrinsic holes. Because of this, the redistribution N naught in the conduction band is not simply equal to the donor concentration plus the intrinsic electron concentration. Similarly, for some other values, we can calculate here the value of Ni is different and Nd is different. Na is still here 0. So putting in the same way in the same formula, we get the value of N naught as 5.97 into 10 raised to the power 13 per centimeter cube. So with this example and the previous example, we can make a comparison between the change in value of intrinsic concentration and value of Nd, and we can see that how the value of N naught and P naught are getting changed with the changing these values. So this is represented in this graph on x-axis. Temperature is represented with in Kelvin. In y-axis we have N naught represented per centimeter cube. So you can see as the temperature increases, the graph is rising and then it is flat and increasing for intrinsic. So we can predict from this curve that the intrinsic carrier concentration Ni is very strong function of temperature. As the temperature is increased, the semiconductor will eventually lose its extrinsic characteristics and the intrinsic concentration will begin to dominate. So we have calculated the equilibrium N naught concentration for compensated semiconductor. Now we will be calculating it for the whole concentration for the same compensated semiconductor. So under complete ionization, Nd and Pa are both 0. So we have N naught is plus Na is equal to P naught plus Nd. Ni square upon P naught plus Na is equal to P naught plus Nd. So P naught square minus Na minus Nd, P naught minus Na square is equal to 0. So P naught is equal to Na minus Nd by 2 plus under root Na minus Nd whole square by 2 plus Ni square. So this equation is used to calculate the whole concentration in a p-type semiconductor, or we can say when Na is greater than Nd. So consider the silicon at 300 Kelvin. Ni value is given as 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 10 centimeter cube. Na is given as 10 raised to the power 17 per centimeter cube, and Nd given here is 0. So we need to find the majority carrier concentration P naught and N naught. P naught, putting the values into the formula that we have seen, 10 raised to the power 17 divided by 2 plus under root 10 raised to the power 17 by 2 whole square plus 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 10 whole square. So this value comes out to be 10 raised to the power 17 per centimeter cube. Similarly, we can calculate the minority carrier concentration. N naught is equal to Ni square by P naught. Ni square is given as 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 10. So Ni square, we have N square, and P naught we have found as 10 raised to the power 17 per centimeter cube. Solving this, we get the minority carrier concentration. So here we can compare these two, like for having majority carrier concentration as whole, there is a vast and huge difference between these two concentration. This is order of 10 raised to the power 17, and minority carrier concentration is of the order of 10 raised to the power 3. So similarly, we can calculate it for different values of Ni and Nd and having Na value of 3. So we found it as 7 into 10 raised to the power 15 per centimeter cube, and if I calculate P naught by putting in the same formula Ni square upon N naught, so we get a value of 3.21 into 10 raised to the power 4. So we need to remember that minority carrier concentration is calculated from N naught, P naught is equal to Ni square once the majority carrier concentration is determined. Like in the first one, we have first calculated the majority carrier concentration P naught, and using the value of majority carrier concentration, we have calculated the minority carrier concentration. Similarly, with the second example, the majority carrier concentration was N naught. So N naught is first calculated, then using the value of this N naught, we can calculate the value of P naught. Now the Fermi level in the doped semiconductor. If the Boltzmann approximation is valid for N-type semiconductor, then we have N naught is equal to Nc exponential minus Ec minus Ef by Kt, and we can write it as Ec minus Ef is equal to Kt ln Nc by N naught. So a slightly different expression we have, if I write it as N naught is equal to Ni exponential Ef minus Efi by Kt, and Ef minus Efi is equal to Kt ln N naught upon Ni. So as N naught or the donor concentration increases, the Fermi level moves closer to the conduction band. So if we use these values to verify this, Ni is 1.5 into 10 raised to the power 10 per centimeter cube. Nd is given as this. So putting this value, we find the N naught concentration as 10 raised to the power 16 per centimeter cube. So from here we can calculate EC minus EF, that is the difference between conduction band energy level and the Fermi energy level, has 0.0259 ln 2.8 10 raised to the power 19 divided by 10 raised to the power 16, and the value comes out to be 0.206 electron volts. So this is representing for the p-type semiconductor Fermi doped energy level. P naught is equal to NV exponential minus EF minus EV by KT. So from here we can write EF minus EV as KT ln NV by P naught. So similarly, slightly different expression we can write as EFI minus EF is equal to KT ln P naught upon Ni. So as the P naught or the acceptor concentration increases, the Fermi level moves closer to the valence band. So for N type, we have Fermi level above than the intrinsic Fermi level. So the Fermi level for a N-type material is towards the conduction band. So similarly, if we see it for a P-type material, then we find it that this EFI is the intrinsic Fermi level and this EF is the Fermi level of the doped semiconductor. So for a p-type material, the Fermi level of the doped semiconductor is lying towards the valence band, while in case of the doped n-type semiconductor, this Fermi level is lying towards the conduction band energy level. So now this diagram is representing the Fermi level versus doping concentration and temperature. So here we can see this variation. The dotted line is representing EFI and here we have EC and EV. So this is representing the variation, that how the concentration is decreasing for p-type and increasing for the n-type. So keeping in mind that we have assumed that Boltzmann approximation is valid. So whenever we are discussing about the concentration of charge carrier, then this we always must keep in mind that all the calculations that we are doing, all the analysis that we are doing based on the values of n naught and p naught, that derivation we have done, the expression we have got by taking in an assumption. That assumption is the Boltzmann approximation. So we can see with the graph here in this second diagram also, we can see this is the conduction band and valence band, and this is the intrinsic level. So this on x-axis it is representing EF minus EFI. On here this axis we have temperature. So as the temperature is increased, the Fermi level moves closer to the intrinsic Fermi level. At the low temperature, where freeze out occurs, the Fermi level goes above ED, that is donor energy level, for N-type semiconductor and below EA for a p-type semiconductor. Carrier transport phenomena, that how we can study about the transport of the carriers. So the net flow of electron and hole in the semiconductor will generate a current. So the process by which these charge carriers or charge particle move is called the transport or the transport of charge carrier. So the carrier transport phenomena are the foundation of finally determining the current values, that is current voltage characteristics of the device. So we can divide the current transport phenomena on two categories. One is drift and another one is diffusion. So carrier transport we can devise as drift and second one is diffusion. So these two are entirely different, contributing to the current but the process of these carrier diffusion is entirely different. In drift, the name drift is used for the movement of carrier due to the effect of electric field, while the diffusion, the flow of carriers, is due to the density gradients. So here in this diagram we can see there is a semiconductor bar and it is connected to a voltage V. So an electric field is applied here. So as due to the effect of this electric field and a potential, the electron moves from right to left. So this type of movement of charge carriers due to the effect of electric field is termed as drift of charge carrier. And if we have a concentration gradient, then due to that concentration gradient, the charge carrier move from higher concentration to the lower concentration, and that is called the diffusion. Here in this diagram we can see here this bar has been divided into two parts. So on left hand side we have high density of charge carriers, on right hand side we do not have any charge carrier. So there is a charge carrier gradient. One side there is a high density of charge, on one side there is no charge carrier. So charge carrier from a high density side will move towards the low density side. So this type of movement of charge carrier is called as diffusion of charge carrier. So these two phenomena, drift and diffusion, are used to define the transport of charge carrier or the movement of charge carrier into the semiconductor. So the movement of charge carrier due to the drift of electron contributes a current. So that current that is being caused by the drifting of electron is called as drift current. So we will find that what is the drift current density. So consider a positively charged hole. When electric field E is applied, the hole accelerates and the force F is equal to mp star, that is effective mass of the hole, multiplied by A acceleration is equal to E into E, that capital is the electric field. mp star that I told you is effective mass of hole, A is acceleration and E is electronic charge. However, hole collide with the ionized impurity atom with the thermally vibrating lattice. In this way, it will collide with the other ionized lattice atom and the direction of field is in this direction, that will cause the movement of this hole. So hole accelerates due to electric field. When the electric field is applied, hole gets accelerated. Accelerating the hole, it moves throughout this. So it has some collision. So involves in collision, scattering process, loses most of the energy. Then again it gains the energy from the electric field and it starts moving. Then again collision occurs. So this process continues. So gain average drift velocity, because sometimes the speed increases, sometimes it decreases. So there we need to calculate or we need to study about the average drift velocity. So representing that average drift velocity as VdP, VdP is mu p into E. So mu p is the hole mobility, describes how well a carrier moves due to electric field. So drift current density, that is ampere per centimeter cube, we can write it as EP V into dP, and replacing VdP value with the value of mu into E, so it becomes E mu P into P into E. So drift current density due to electron comes out to be E mu n into E. So total drift current density, we have two type of charge carrier. P type and N type. So this is the drift current density due to the holes. This is the drift current density due to electrons. So the total drift current density will be the sum of the drift current density of holes and electrons. So we get the final expression as J drift is equal to E mu N into N plus mu P into P multiplied by E. So sum of individual electrons and hole drift current densities, we get this J drift value. So we have a new term, that is mobility. So we will study about the mobility and what are is the effect of temperature on the mobility. So mobility we can define as E tau Cp by Mp star mu n E tau Cn upon Mn star. So tau is the mean time between collisions, that I told you that if the electron or hole, that is the majority carrier, is being accelerated by the effect of electric field, then it will move with certain velocity. Moving with certain velocity, it will collide with another ionized atoms of that material. So its speed get degraded, and then again it gains energy due to the electric field. So we have an average speed. So tau represents the mean time between the collisions. If tau is t raised to the power minus 15 seconds, in average, every 10 raised to the power minus 15 second carrier involved in the collision and scattering. So we have two type of scattering mechanism, that is phonon or lattice scattering and ionized scattering. So we will study in detail about these two types of scattering mechanism and in the next video.